Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today, I want to talk about the 4 worst watches or worst types of watches I've ever sold. In what way? Watches I've always had issues with that come back, their headaches with repairs, and that in my experience, I never want to sell again. Now, of course, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today I've got my Breguet Marine 5817 stainless steel on rubber. Absolutely loving it. And also, guys, I'm not going to shout out exactly specific watches on Del Rey Watch right now because it hasn't been updated yet. But in the next 3 or 4 hours, we're having a major drop of about 20 pieces, such as a previous generation Vacheron Overseas, cheapest one in the country, a vintage Rolex Pepsi 1675, and an Omega Speedmaster Grayside on the Moon, all of which are being photographed right now, and with another like 20 watches dropping. So guys, keep on your toes. Check out delreywatch.com at some point today. You will see a big update. So yeah, guys, I've sold a few watches, either through Del Rey Watch here, where we sell, over 1,000 watches, well over 1,000 watches a year, or as a private collector, even at retail where I used to sell watches. And I've noticed a trend. There are a few models or types that have caused me more headaches than others. Now, guys, if you own one of these models, it's okay. It's not guaranteed to break, but it's just models that I've noticed have given me the most trouble in terms of repair, unhappy customers, and they come back. And in some of these cases, I just refuse to sell them anymore. Not worth the hassle. And this is in no particular order. The first one is not a particular brand, but a particular movement, and that is the A-Shield alarm movement. This has been used in Maurice Lacroix, Baume Mercier, even some higher-end watches. It's a vintage-style automatic winding alarm movement, and the rotor winds the alarm one way, and the movement the other way. Very cool timepiece. It makes very cool timepieces, and it's not particularly expensive, and it does look fairly well made. But it's a pain in the ass to work on. They break constantly. It takes a while to fix. Getting parts, while not super hard or super expensive, is just something that fails a lot. And it's not something I want to deal with. It's a pretty uncommon movement, so luckily it doesn't hurt business too much. But when I get offered one of these, I just pass. Another one is one I've spoken about before, and that is a Ulysse Nardin Big Date. Pretty much all the big dates from Ulysse Nardin with double discs. They always get off center. They even come back from Ulysse Nardin off center. Spend $2,000 on a service for a perpetual, and they send it back off center, which is the reason I sent it into them in the first place. And their answer is, well, it's close enough. It passes our quality control. Now, yes, you push them, they will get it perfectly centered, but the spring just has a lot of play, and over time, the wheels don't line up perfectly. It could be a centimeter off, and that's, it is what it is. If that's something that triggers your OCD, don't buy any of those watches. That's just the way they work. And I had a customer very unhappy because it happened after a few months, and I tried to explain it to him, and he wasn't having it, and that's okay, because, the customer is not necessarily wrong. But I had to fight with Ulysse Nardin tooth and nail to get this adjusted. It was literally impossible. They didn't want to do it. They kept telling me, tell the customer that's just the way it is. Completely unacceptable. I will not be selling any UN big dates in the near future. Now a vintage movement. Anything with the caliber 11, also called chronomatic. One of the world's first chronograph movements. Tag Heuer used it. Breitling used it. Elgin used it. It's usually, you can tell because the crown is on the left side and the pushers are on the right side. What a turd this movement is. Yes, historical, fantastic. It's a piece of history. Impossible to fix. Constantly breaks, runs extremely poorly, and what can you say? It's one of the world's first automatic chronographs. So it just is what it is with the rotor sandwiched in the middle of the movement. It makes no sense. Hans won't even work on these, just refuses. You know what? Every time I see one, I kind of cringe. I just think of the repair bill and I stay away. Now, last but not least is not a bad design or anything like that. It's just crap quality. And that is any of the old Jacob & Co. 5-time zone watches. These are the cheapest stainless steel case with 5 of the cheapest Swiss quartz movements, mini quartz movements that are glued onto the underside of the dial. You got to change 5 batteries because it's 5 separate movements, 5 crowns, all built like crap and extremely expensive. This was one of the most disappointing things I've ever seen. I've actually sold a few of these because obviously Jacob & Co. is a decently established brand. But I remember once I got one in for a battery change and we opened up the case back and I couldn't believe my eyes. Absolutely not. This is a total piece of steaming hot garbage that belongs in same level as the Shop NBC type watches. It's just awful, 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 but you're paying top dollar. Anyway, guys, those are 4 of the worst watches, the watches that give me the most trouble that I've ever dealt with. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Please give this video a thumbs up. If it helps, it really helps me out. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more content. And of course, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.